Welcome to this another edition of Platform and Possibilities. I'm your host, Corinne J. Phipps Benjamin, and I'm always delighted for the opportunity to sit and chit chat with one of our fine nationals who reside abroad. Today, I have the honor of having a conversation with or introducing you to Miss Melvina Mel Chapman. Melvina is one of the most feisty women I know, brilliant, eloquent, educated woman who believes in country and service. Welcome, Melvina. welcome, welcome to Platform Possibilities. I got your bio and I thought I'll tell them about the many things that you are, what you represent as a woman. We're still in the month of March where we're celebrating women, and you are one of the powerful women in my mind who has been a perfect example of strength and inspiration that I could speak about in my own, expressions of who I think you are. So instead of reading all of this, I say, you know what? Boy, let's talk about it because Mel, you are amazing. There's so many things I didn't know about you in terms of the work that you do. I know that you're currently living out in Texas. You're from beautiful St. Kitts and Nevis, born in, I think, is it Tabernacle? You represent Tabernacle,
Well, I
right?
was actually born in Bellevue, but we moved to Tabernacle when I was a couple of years old. So I claim Tabernacle as my
And,
as my hometown.
and strongly claim Tabernacle too, right? Right? Um, but I think before we talk about, and of the many accolades that I believe, you wear well, one of the things we have to talk about is how it began, because who you are now is in past, a part and parcel who you were when you started out your journey as a young girl in Tabernacle. So share with us a bit of what life was, because I see also that you migrated to England. So take us from where we are face to face now and take us through that journey from Tabernacle.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Thanks for inviting me to be a part of your program. I really appreciate it, and I hope I can impart some wisdom. And even though we've known each other a long time, sometimes we don't get into the nitty-gritty, of who people are and where they come from and things like that. So thanks for giving me the opportunity to let you and those who are sharing in the podcast know a little bit more about me. So I was born in Bellevue. I'm a child of the late 50s. I moved to Tabernacle when I was about 2 years old and moved to England when I was 9 and lived there up until my early 20s. And there I moved down to St. Thomas. Back then, everybody was going somewhere. So it was a privilege for me to be the only one of my siblings to have had the opportunity to grow up outside of St. Kitts and Nevis. My father died in 1960, and he was supposed to be going to England with my uncles. And when he died, one of my uncles promised my mother that when he settled down, he was going to send for one of the children to help her out. So the one of the children ended up being me. And I grew up in Leeds, which I loved, and had my children there, did most of my education there. And my mom decided she wanted to have all of her children back together again because we were kind of scattered a little bit because various people were helping to raise the family. It takes a village. And I ended up moving down to St. Thomas in the Virgin Islands and lived there for a couple of years. But as much as St. Thomas is beautiful, lovely sand, sea, sun, it was a very small island, 32 square miles, less than half the size of St. Kitts. And I found that I wanted to be somewhere larger. I was accustomed to being able to go on the continent, as we call it in England. On a weekend, you can jump on a coach or you could get on a train and you can go to Italy, Spain, Greece, here, there, and everywhere. And that's what I was accustomed to. So I kind of wanted to be back in that big city kind of a lifestyle. And I met many, many people from Texas when I lived in England. And I thought, I think Texas is calling my name. And that's how I ended up living here in Houston, Texas. So,
Wow.
which I love dearly, but soon to leave and move back home.
Yes. Yes. So you've lived a storied life. You've left England where you've had to deal with that colder weather. Then actually you left St. Kitts and Nevis. You left
St. Kitts,
from
left
there.
St. Kitts to go to England in the
Yes.
cold. I went there in February. So I was
Mm.
in the middle of the winter, never seen snow before, and got there right on time for all the snow, which for me as a child was fun. It was a lot
Mm.
of fun. But after you get used to it a little bit, it was kind of like, you don't
Yeah.
want it anymore.
No, no, no. So
Yeah.
Texas turned out to be where you started your career in sales and marketing, right?
Yes, I would say that. Yes. After I left St. Thomas, I worked in the retail industry in St. Thomas. I worked at A.H. Reese. I worked for a company called 24 Karat Gold.
Mm.
And when I moved to Houston, I applied for a job at a company called Sakowitz. They were a fine upscale retailer and got hired the same day. In fact, they didn't want me to even go back home. They asked me to stay and work, but I told them no, because I was only living in Houston for a week at that time when I went looking for work. So I started working a couple of days later and then moved from there into working for the Four Seasons Hotel
Mhm.
and the George R. Brown Convention Center, which was right across the street. They stole me, actually. The managers from the George R. Brown Convention Center would come for lunch, and they liked me. They liked the way that I performed. They liked my customer service, and they enticed me into coming over to the George R. Brown, which was a stone's throw away. You could see it from the Four Seasons.
Right.
So after working for the Four Seasons for about 7 years, I went over to the George R. Brown, which I love.
Awesome. Obviously, learning quite a bit, bringing something to the table, obviously, because that seemingly had to be innate, those skills, being cordial and customer service oriented. I'm sure some of that was part of who Melvina was. So they didn't
Oh,
have to train you,
yes.
right?
Yes, definitely. I'm the social butterfly. I love meeting new people,
Mhm.
and I love people to walk away with a good feeling of
Mhm.
where they've been, what they've just done. And, hopefully they'll come back again and they will remember the good time that they had wherever they were, whatever the circumstance may be. So, customer
Right.
service for me is very, very big. No matter what job you're in, I believe that customer service really has to enter into it. Whether you're an executive, those people that you're talking to on the phone, they're still your customers. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So I think that those things are very important.
That's good. That's good. So walk us through. Tell us about a couple of your experiences in terms of the sales and marketing. I saw in your bio you talk about being a lead in terms of team events, um, prestigious events like World Cup and Super Bowl. You
Yes,
kind of
yes,
to hear about a couple of those experiences, especially the Super Bowl and World Cup. Tell us how
yes,
you've used those skills to lead and to be successful in executing on these.
yes. So after working at the Georgia Brown Convention Center for some time, I was always being approached by people that come in there to do business and to do events. Oh, we should have you come and work with us. We really like you. We like your style. We like the way how you do things. And one day, the Minute Maid company came in and they had a meeting. In fact, they were always part of the Coca-Cola Company, and that day they came in to launch the Minute Maid company. And I worked with them for a number of months in advance to bring this meeting together. It was an extensive 2-day meeting with people coming from all over the world where they were going to sell the juice brand. So they fell in love with me again. They also stole me. They stole me from the George R. Brown, so I went to work with them and was there for 10 years. And the best job that I've ever had, bar none.
You see?
Um, Not just because I traveled extensively. I traveled all over the world. I was involved with the Olympics, the Summer Olympics and the Winter Olympics. So I've traveled from Australia to Nagano, Japan, to Utah, to pretty much everywhere in the time frame that I worked for them. And it isn't just to go for the Olympics. Sometimes you go for the Olympics, but you don't see the Olympics
Right.
because you're busy working behind the
Okay.
scenes and you're making sure that your guests that you bring in, all of the butlers that are from around the world that you're bringing into these destinations, that they're having the time of their lives. It's not about you. It's not what you are there for. At the very end of the night, if somebody doesn't show up, you may get a ticket to go watch a little track and field or to go and do something, and then you're grateful. But for the most part, it's usually like 2, 3 months of really hard work. So you
Right.
go to Australia, you work so hard you don't even get to see Australia. That's
Right.
one of the reasons why I went back to celebrate at one of my big birthdays. But the World Cup, another institution globally where it's also again a matter of bringing in all of your top customers, all of your top salespeople will come in, and again giving them an experience out of this world, from the food to the gifts. Every night there's a gift waiting for them in their rooms when they go back, making sure that everything is on time, from the buses to anything that they want. We're basically at their beck and call, to be honest with you, because they are who make the company that you work for. So Super Bowl, also another great one. Every year I used to coordinate um, an event that was always held in Hawaii. Well, at the time it was held in Hawaii for the NFL, but I never went to Hawaii because I also had another group in house that wanted to host events in Europe. So I always chose to go to Europe and have staff members handle the event in Hawaii for me. So I think because I'm from an island, Hawaii just didn't seem like that big of a deal to me. I mean, I don't want to be ungrateful, but I even had chances to go to Bermuda for other events that we hosted and have lots of relatives in Bermuda, lots and lots and lots. But I've always chosen not to go on those trips. But
There must be an impact because of all that sunshine you experienced when you were younger. You
I
had it.
think so. I think so. I felt like maybe I felt like some of these other places I may never get to go to again.
Yes.
Like I went to South Africa once and I felt like, oh my gosh, I have to go on this particular trip because I may not ever be able to either afford it to go on my own or, just have an opportunity to go. So I would always take advantage of those types of events. Hard work. Everybody thinks that the life of an event planner is is easy. Oh my gosh, you get to travel. Oh, you get to do this. You get to go here. You get to go there. Yes, but you're living out of a suitcase. You throw your bags down in a hotel room. You run downstairs to the ballroom. You are there all day, and then at the end of the day, you go back upstairs. You go to sleep, and then you get up
Yeah.
and do it all over again, rinse and repeat.
Yes.
Very rarely do you truly get to have a great time. Sometimes you go in a day or two before, you stay a day or two after an event, but for the most part, it is nonstop. Go, 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 and it shows. It shows in the results that you have.
You put the work
Um,
in.
yeah, you have to put in the work. You can't just go there and dolls up and look pretty and have other people do things for you. You got to get your hands dirty and you got to get into it, no matter what your title is. At least that's how I took it for
And you
myself.
approach it in a way where you've always been available or accessible to do more than just what's on your title or part of the title.
Yep, always, always, always went the extra mile. And just making sure my number one priority was whoever my constituents were, that they were happy and that I exceeded expectations. I never wanted to come up short. I always had to be resourceful in the event something went wrong. Always had to have it in the back of your mind, you know, what you can do quickly to make it right. Because things do go wrong. I've been in events where we've lost power and things like that, and the boat never showed up. One time we were going on the River Thames and the boat never showed up. And what do? We were driving down a street in London, in Knightsbridge, and there was a little car parked in the way, and the coach that we were on couldn't get by. I talked my guys on the bus to get off and move that little car out of the way because it was just a little teeny weeny little thing like a SWAT. And they lifted up that car and moved it out of the way. The bus driver just kept on going.
Right.
Some people would have just sat there and go, "Oh my God, what do we do?" You know,
Yeah.
so
You're a
you
problem
just
solver
have
at
to,
heart. That's what you
yeah,
are.
you have to be. You have to be when you're an event planner. You have to know pretty much all kinds of things that
Right.
needs to be done.
So
Yeah.
interesting that you talk about the experience as a planner, as a lead on in marketing and sales. Somewhere along the line, Melvina Mel gets this buzz to do more than just work in the corporate American space. You eventually become. At what stage do you become part of a volunteer group in Texas? Because we're talking about two things next. One, the fact that you co-founded your own not-for-profit, but before that happened, you served on an organization in Texas. Share with us how you found the time, first of all, and then how you contributed to the success of that organization.
Well, first of all, I'm a firm believer in if you want to do something, you will find the time to do it, no matter what. That's my belief. Um, Before I was a part of the St. Kitts Nevis Association of Houston, as it was then called, it is now the St. Kitts Nevis Association of Texas, but in my days, it was of Houston. I always volunteered, always did something at work, always did something for the food bank. Anybody who would ask me to do something for them, I would always try to find the time. I mean, if I'm traveling, I'm out of town or whatever, I'll have another obligation, I just couldn't. But I always wanted to be a part of. I always wanted to feel like I was giving back because I feel like a lot has been given to me. So I feel like, I needed to give back. Um, so the opportunity arose for me to join St. Kitts and Nevis Association. Um, I was then called an elder because it was formed by a couple of younger ladies and they wanted the wisdom and knowledge from some older people within the community. So we jumped in and, we tried to help and we, gave them their space to do what they needed to do. And at some point they decided, you know what, we need to let you elders take over because we don't know what we're doing and we need help. So I was voted in as the president of St. Kitts and Nevis Association. And we are one of the smallest groups at the time in Houston, but we had the most impactful events that you can imagine. Other associations used to send representatives to our galas, to our boat ride, to our Pack the Barrel, because they wanted to see what we were doing. Because we were always doing things outside of the box.
Right.
And everybody wanted, like, how are they doing all of this stuff? How did they get to send this? How are they giving scholarships back to people and things like that? And along with my team and we really made sure that we gave people something to remember whenever they came to an event. And
Right.
it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
How many years were you able to sustain the organization sustain itself, or you were able to partner with that organization? How
I
long?
partnered with them from 2007 until 2015.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I was actually the president for seven of those years. So
Mhm.
from 2008 until 2015.
Mhm.
Um, Always voted in as the president, not just staying on, but always being voted in.
Okay.
Even when I was ready to leave, I was still being voted in. But eventually, I needed to make some changes
Mhm.
and I opted out. So I sat out for a couple of years and just did some things, still always making sure that people at home were taken care of. We always did a Pack the Barrel, which was during the Christmas time. We named it Pack the Barrel because back then we were packing barrels of
Right.
toys and clothing and toiletries and
Mhm.
things like that that we would send back home, for folks at home, schools, the nursing home, the children's home, individuals that we've come to learn about that were in need. So,
Right.
and then now what I do with my organization that I founded, um, I send twice a year I do a back to school campaign, and I also do something for
Yes,
Christmas.
ma'am. Okay.
Yes,
How,
and
how do you, and that's so noble, right, Melvina? It takes a lot to immerse oneself in initiatives of this scope. We know it's a hell of an undertaking. It's not easy. Your not-for-profit you founded after you left this particular one, it's Caribbean Culture Foundation.
Cultural Coalition.
This is what you coalition, yes. This is the organization head up. You're a director, you're the founder and director. What's your support system like? How do you tap into that support? I know that there are times of the year when you send out the call, this is happening, that is happening, and you have support. Are you spearheading the initiatives all on your own? How does that work? Do you
No,
have a
I have
team?
a board. I have a
Mhm.
board. We have a board of 5 people. Um, but mostly, two of us are the ones that are mostly doing the
Physical
work.
labor.
Yeah, the physical work of, going out. We used to have people donate money to us and things like that, and then we would go shopping. And we found that that wasn't really the best use of our time. And we also wanted it to be very transparent. We didn't want anybody to wonder, "Hey, what's going on with our money, what this. So we made it up, as you know, where when we're looking for school supplies, we come up with a list of the items that we're needing and the quantities that we're needing, and we send that entire list out to our friends, family members, and we ask people, donate whatever you can. So somebody may buy 50 books, they may buy 24 packs of crayons, whatever the case may be, 20 rulers, and those things come here to my house, and then they get transported over to Amerijet, and we pack them up and get them shipped down to St. Kitts and Nevis, because we do both islands
Mhm.
for Christmas and for the back to school timing.
Amazing. How do you determine need? How do you determine how the supplies are dispatched and to who are the beneficiaries? How does that happen?
We ask we ask people that we know on both islands if they are aware of organizations or individuals who are in need, truly, truly in need. Um, my first obligation, and I would say this without anything, my first obligation is the village of Tabernacle and the children there. They are my first obligation. They will always get it. If that's all I have to give, they will get it. But fortunately, my friends such as you and many others, um, they donate, and there's always additional and enough to give to others. So we have given to the children of East Bastille. We have given items to a young lady that I've kind of adopted down in Halfway Tree.
Yes,
Her and her children, I make sure that they always get something. Again, the children of Tabernacle, which has now come to encompass Bellevue,
and
Tabernacle, and Mansion, that those three
yeah,
little close villages,
yeah.
because all of those children go to the same school in Tabernacle. So we make sure that they all get. Um, it sometimes can be a little bit difficult because we sometimes get requests from individuals, and then we have a little bit of a vetting process. It's not terribly extensive, but we feel like we need to know who's getting whatever we're giving and that it's going to go to the right place, because I don't have enough people on the ground in St. Kitts or Nevis to oversee and to make sure that what we are sending is going to into the right hands. So we do a little bit of vetting for people and finding out a little bit more about them. And sometimes people do not respond to our requests with the vetting questions. And then I kind of put my little sleuths out there and say, hey, find out a little bit about this organization for me, because I haven't heard back from them. And I've had it where people have said, what organization? Ain't no organization with that name or anything like that, and then I'll go dig a little bit further. And sometimes I'm in a situation where I am personally able to be in St. Kitts and Nevis to hand out these items myself.
Yeah.
Example, in 2019, I tasked my friends to donate 25, what are those things called again?
Was it the tablets or
The Amazon Kindle, the Kindle Fires.
yeah, the Kindle, yeah.
Sorry. So this was 2019 for Christmas. I wanted 25 of them because I thought, oh, wow, well, I ended up getting 103 of them, which was just amazing. I'll be eternally grateful for that. So I was home in December of 19, so I was able to personally go to the schools and go to the organizations, go up on Nevis and hand these to the children myself,
Well,
which was
right?
a delight, such a joy.
Yes.
But the most important thing is those items, the majority of those items came from people that don't even know where St. Kitts and Nevis is. They only heard about it because of me, and the other board members, but they're so generous with their resources and their treasure that they just feel like, oh, wow, I'm helping a child somewhere. And the most joy that I got from that was in the months of April, May, and June of 2020, in the midst of COVID, when I am hearing and getting WhatsApp messages from teachers and moms and children themselves thanking us for those Kindle Fires because they were able to use them during COVID to keep themselves, busy, and, some of them do homework and things like that because obviously everybody was locked down and nobody was going anywhere. So that gave me the most joy, that it was such a meaningful item. That I met a child when I was home last July, and the child said, I have something to show you. I have something to show you. And I said, oh, what is it? And he ran inside and came back out with his Kindle. With his Kindle, he said, I still got it. I still got it, and it still works. It worked good. So that was, for me, that was just like almost brought tears to my eyes. So those are just some of the little things that we do, and make
Your work
sure.
is meaningful still. I mean, there's value there, Can't put a price on it, Melvina.
No, you really can't. You really cannot. It doesn't matter the cost of the item. It's the fact that it brings joy to a child or even to a parent. We've given wheelchairs. We've given a refrigerator to the homeroom down in Sandy Point school. So we've done so many things, lots and lots of toiletries and adult diapers and things like that to different organizations. A lady who for about 8 to 10 years could not leave her home because she was bedridden, needed a wheelchair, and somebody who used to visit her, on a regular basis asked, can you all help? Can you all send her a wheelchair so that she can get out? We were able to do that for her. Back in the early part of Scanner, the then police chief sent a note to us asking us if we could donate 2 bicycles. This is the police department. And we donated those police bikes, and they used those bikes on Port Zante for a number of years. So we are wide, we're broad, and I have continued that tradition with my organization. I'm really not sure what's going on with the other organization, to be honest with you, but I made sure that my everything that I started is something that I wanted to continue with. And it's still working.
Sounds like it. Bravo to you. I always say, kudos to people who are so committed to serving community unreservedly, without any excuse, just constantly pouring their all as you are into community because you don't forget from whence you came. And I think that's
no, we do not. We do not. We do not. And sometimes I'm a little bit I get a little bit upset with some people that how they grew up at home. We know that there used to be a time in Tabernacle, I don't know how many other villages, but there was a gentleman, and we used to call him Brother Brown, and they would come in from America. They were Caucasians coming from America, and every child that went to Sunday school, we used to get dolls. We used to get, all kinds of G.I. Joe things for the boys. And I mean, they always took care of us. And I remember those days, when my uncle one of them who lived in St. Croix would always send up a little package for us so that we would have, our little things to go back to school with, our rulers and our books, the black and white books
Yeah.
and things like that, and whatever it was to help. And our people still need that kind of help. Many people feel like, oh, they got money, they don't need anything. But there are still a lot of people that do need that help at home. And I always reach out to people and I say, just remember when that was you. Remember that you are fortunate now to be here in America and that you have life good. But there are some people at home who are still needing a little hand up, not a handout, but a hand up. So that strikes some people, and then they go, oh yes, you're right, and then they'll dig a little deeper and dig a little something.
No, I admire your persistence or insistence that they be focused on the needs, that there are needs, and to discount that there aren't is to pretend that life is otherwise, is to pretend. But then you've gone to these organizations and continue to work in your own capacity as a president, etc. And then suddenly I learned that you are the president of the Anguilla Nevis St. Kitts Association, ANSA. I typically knew it. Many people know it as the reunion, a grand reunion of people again from Anguilla, Nevis, and St. Kitts. Tell us how you were, nudged to become the president and how things have been going, because it's just been about a year, and ANSA, the next session of ANSA is upon us in 2025 or something like that. So
yes,
tell us about this experience and the what next, the now and the what next with ANSA for Melvina.
Well, I don't know how I get myself in the middle of all of these things sometimes, but being the social butterfly that I am, I've gone to many ANSAs in the past, and I started going to the meetings, the delegate meetings, on behalf of SCANA, and of course now on behalf of Caribbean Cultural Coalition. And I was voted in as the secretary treasurer back in 2018 when ANSA, well, let me say a little something about ANSA just really quickly, if you don't mind. We used to go under ANSA. Now, because there was somebody else had that name, and we now have to go by ANSA Reunion, just officially. So, but people will forever say ANSA, and I still get mixed up myself. But we now have to say ANSA Reunion. So Anguilla Nevis St. Kitts Associations Reunion. Yeah. Okay. So not just the ANSA like we used to carry it all out in one. So I was voted in as secretary treasurer, like I said, in 2018 when the reunion was hosted in St. Kitts and Nevis. And of course, we were supposed to have one in 2020, but because of COVID, that didn't happen. Then we were supposed to have one in 2022. Again, people were just not comfortable enough, to be in big crowds, as the reunion typically is. So in 2023 was the opportunity where the host, APANI, which is the Anguilla Progressive Association in New York, they hosted it in Anguilla. So it was time again for elections. And Constantine Greenaway, who is the past president of the reunion, decided that, he was pretty much done. He'd done it long enough. And the opportunity came about, and
you're right,
I was voted in. I was voted in as the new president. So we had a brand new secretariat that was voted in there in Anguilla. Yeah. So it's an honor. It's an honor because I've always done a lot of work within the organization, and just try to make sure that we always have a nice event for everyone, because people come from all over the world to attend the reunions, and we always want to make sure that the host committee is on top of everything, and that it's just a wonderful experience when you come, and that you leave the anticipation of, oh, I can't wait for the next one. And
Right.
that's where we are right now, where our next event is going to be hosted May the 23rd through the 25th in Toronto, Canada. So we're already deep
The bus
into the
stop.
planning process
Right.
for Answer Reunion 2025.
Well, I know with you in the mix, Mel, there is going to be grandiose, it's going to be a grandiose experience. And I'm sure most people are looking forward to it, if not many. Talking about most people, what's the work like to attract young people to
Woo!
answer? What
Now you've hit a nerve right there because my number one goal within Answer Reunion is to attract younger people to become members of their respective associations around the globe. We had a meeting, a Zoom meeting. I asked for that meeting with as many associations in England as we possibly could get. And everybody in England and here in the US and home, they all are crying the same thing. That is, they cannot get young people involved. It is critical for young people to be a part of these associations. Um, Parents are saying, oh, we try to get our children involved, and then they stay in it for a little while, and then they get their own children and they're gone, and they can't get the younger ones to come in. Um, I ask around, I think I've asked you, what ideas do you have? What suggestions do you have where we can work with a younger population to be a part of our organizations? My
well, I think to the
organization is not a membership organization per se, Caribbean Cultural Coalition, but we do have people that support us and that will come to any small events that we may have for fundraising. But I know that here in Houston, the other organizations, it doesn't matter, Jamaica, Trinidad, Barbados, Dominica, Grenada, they're all struggling, trying to get those young people to come in under the umbrella and, to just make things happen. So, and I have invited the folks in England to give whatever suggestions, whatever ideas that they may have, um, in which we can bring more young people in to what we're doing. And I invite anybody who is listening to the podcast that if they have any ideas, any suggestions as to what we can do to bring younger people in, because most of the organizations, and you can tell from when you go to an Ansar reunion, the majority of the people there are, I would say, 40 and above.
over 40. If I could pick a pin, though, I was saying to you that recently the organization which I'm affiliated with, Green Valley Global, hosted it was more of a meet and greet and planning event. And we were able to get the voice of a few young people, their opinions on things that would attract them. And they talked about more outings, really. You want them in some setting where they're talking. So they're interested in things like field events, sports day. That's what we call sports day, right? Trivia night, game night. First, you have to attract them to some event, and then you can have the conversation about how do you want them to take on leadership roles or to be involved in some other way. But you have to come to the table with initiatives that will be attractive to them. That's from their perspective, the young people who we had to deal with. So, we put a survey out and we asked what it is they would commit themselves to, moving forward. And they basically gave a list of the things that they're interested in. It's really youth inspired initiatives, really. So we have to get them at the table doing the things they love, and then have the conversations about continuity in terms of the organizations. How do you get the youth presence? But first, get them at the table doing things that they love. Their concerts, dances. They even talked about boat rides. That's what the young people love. They love the soca. They love the rag. They love the goat water and the sauce. But getting them talking, we have to be creative about it. And being creative is listening to what they want, not what we think they should want, but what they like or what they want. So I think that's something to continue to have dialogue on. And I hope other organizations really step up by paying attention to what they're saying, because they'll continuously distance themselves from us if we don't include them in.
Well, you're kind of young to be.
Mel,
As is me in my category. So I will definitely give that a try. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So to continue, I do agree that young people must be, their perspectives must not be discounted, must not be minimized or diminished. And once we get a sense of what they're interested in, we can seriously work toward finding solutions or having them included in the planning, in the how does the future look for organizations of Caribbean descent. That's what I think.
I like it. I love it.
I love that. You know what I really like? That we are honest about the fact that we're all crying out for youth infusion. I like that we're honest about it, because you hear one organization has this issue and you think it's just this one organization, but we're all in a pickle, so to speak, because if young people don't come, tell me how the baton is passed.
Yes, yeah, and everybody's struggling. Everybody's struggling about the same thing. So, but I like those suggestions that you have. We talked about a couple of them, but it's really to put them in action. Really is to get them in action. I do know that I spoke to the Toronto group, the St. Kitts and Nevis Association of Toronto, and they were having the same kind of struggles. But they're working on getting a couple of things going for the summer months to see if they can attract some more young people and basically say, you guys plan your own things. Yes. We're not going to plan it for you. You guys do it.
Support them in the back end, but let them take the lead.
Sure. Yes. Just a little supervision where needed. And they're hopeful that will make a differse. So
that's one angle we just have to try.
Yeah, but I'm excited.
And your experience, Mel, I think that those are ideas that your expertise can capture very well. Because of the expertise that you have and the background that you have, you can also bring those event planning skills to help shore up some of the drab or dry work that we do. So maybe a lot of what we do isn't exciting enough. So you have good ideas. You've been around the Super Bowl. You've been around planning events for, big ticket events. We could use you in some capacity to really kind of make these outcomes happen realistically. The other thing I wanted to talk about is how the hell do you come down from all this madness? But really, that's what I was going to ask. How on earth do you come to a quiet space? Because I know you love your children. You talk about your children and your grandchildren. Does Melvina ever take a break? Is there ever a calm, quiet time in your life?
Yes, I have to take a break, because if you're not good for yourself, you can't be good for anyone else. So I do take breaks. I don't read as much as I used to, and I miss that because I used to read a lot, but I don't so much. One of the things that I've done lately is I've not been traveling a lot either, but I've been reaching out to my friends. I've been actually picking up the phone and talking to people that I haven't talked to in years, and just seeing how they're doing, and just kind of catching up. I've reached out to people that I used to go to school with in England. I was able to find some phone numbers, and each one gave you another number and another number. So I've been reaching out to people. I find relaxation in cooking and doing a little bit of baking, because I like to eat. So I
know you walk to eat. I know you're walking.
I used to have a garden. I used to have a lovely garden, but I don't have that garden anymore because the freeze the last couple of freezes that we've had here in Houston has kind of destroyed it, and it's kind of heartbreaking, and then you have to start again only to have it die again. So all my tea bush that I bring from home, my French sticky thyme and all my little bushes, my lemongrass and things like that, all of that has died. So I'm gonna see what I'm gonna do about that the next time I go home, see what I can bring back.
I guess I was about to say it's kind of like life. You get chopped
Yeah.
down a bit, but then you replant, you rebuild.
Yes, it is. It is. But I would say mostly what's given me most joy and kind of brings me back to that level again that I enjoy always going home. Always, always, always. I try to go home at least once or twice a year,
Mhm.
once for sure. Sometimes two, even three times a year I go home. But I haven't been home since last July. Um, on a personal note, we're planning a family reunion in July of this year, so I'm hoping that it's going to actually take place and that I'll be home for that. If not, I'm going anyway.
I
I'm
always,
going anyway, yes. But I was so disappointed the last time I went home because I went to St. Kitts, then over to Anguilla for Ansar, then back to St. Kitts. And I didn't get to go to Nevis. And that's the first time in, oh my gosh, 30, 40 years that
yeah,
I've
you
been home
always
and I
mention
haven't
it.
been over to Nevis. I was distraught.
Yes, yeah.
So Nevis is going to have a double dose of me when I go home the next time.
What would you say? I mean, you've talked about a couple of things that you do that maybe some people didn't even know about you, love for gardening and baking or cooking. What's another fun fact about Melvina that's worth sharing? That's
Oh gosh. Well, I don't do it as much anymore because of the just the way how the world is. But I'm a seamstress.
oh,
So yes, I used to make wedding gowns and
nice.
suits, and I used to make all my clothes at one time. Um, I don't
Wow.
do it, like I said, hardly anymore.
Yeah. You have a
All I get to
CPS
do
sewing machine?
now,
You have a sewing
yeah.
machine? Do you have one? A sewing machine?
Oh yes, I most certainly do. Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes, yes. I have a sewing machine, a serger, and all the
Yes.
things. I was making masks for sale during
During
COVID.
COVID.
Yeah,
Okay.
during COVID, yeah, I was
You
making
went
and
back to
selling
your roots.
masks.
You went back to okay.
But no, I mean, I used to be very serious about it. I used to do it for money,
Mm.
part-time kind of thing, but not so much anymore. Other than that, I'm just plain old Mel who loves to travel and just kind of like to be out and about and enjoy
Socialite,
life.
socialite, and people connect. You're networker. You're a connector. You are an extrovert par excellence. That's what you are. That's what you
Thank
are.
you.
Melvina,
Thank you.
takeaways. What do you tell people? I mean, we talked about you with your rich upbringing. I say rich because it's not about monetary what do you have in your pocket or what do you earn. What you earn is not about what you have or what you earn. A lot of it is about experiences and people. And your life experience has been a rich, most enriching one, most enriching journey. What are your takeaways? What takeaways do you offer?
Um, I say, be true to yourself. That's number one. Be true to yourself and who you are. Um, Remember all the things that you were taught. It's
Mhm.
important. It's important to carry those things through. Um, I have two adult children, and my youngest told me the other day that he got himself in a bit of a situation where somebody made him really upset and he was ready to lash out at them. And he said, "But you know what, Mom?" He said, "I remember all the things that you told me. I remember you told me to walk away to live to see another day and those kind of things." And he said, "I'm glad that you taught me those kind of things," because he said I could have gotten myself into a lot of trouble had I really lashed out at the person the way that my intuition and my head was telling me to do. He said, "You flashed into my mind." And I said, "Oh Lord, I can't do this and then go home and shame up myself and shame up my mom and my family." So um, find your joy. Find something that really makes you happy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, whatever that is, whether it's joining a choir, working out, um, having a book club, being in a girls group, whatever it may be, going out for wine once a month, whatever that little thing is that makes you happy, it doesn't have to be your immediate family. It don't have to even involve anyone else. It can be that you go to the park. Sometimes I go to the park and just sit down and watch the ducks. Don't do anything, don't talk to anyone, don't take a book, don't do anything. Just me
Yeah.
time. Just me time. Um, I say love unconditionally. Love the people. Know who the ones are that deserve to have that love that you have to share with them. Um, everybody's in your life for seasons. Some people are in there for long, long seasons. You may want to get rid of them, but they ain't going nowhere. Some people, they're just around for 1 or 2 years and then they're gone and you don't think about them anymore. They don't think about you. But know the people who bring value to your life and who bring something special, that makes you smile when you think about them. I say honor your parents. Honor your parents, because obviously we're not going to be around forever. I miss my mother every single day. I was young when my father died. I do remember him, but I was young when he died. But my mom passed away, about 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And wow, soon to be 7 on Mother's Day. She passed away on Mother's Day. But I miss her every day. But have good memories when they're gone. Just make good memories for yourself. Make them with your children, make them with your family, make them with your friends. Um, give an honest day's work when you go to work. Give it all you have. Don't skive off. Don't work for 5 and play for 55. Give it a full 60 minutes, or at least work for 55 and play for 5. But give it all you have. It matters. It really does. It matters. And I tell this to young women. I speak to them on occasion. I've been asked to speak to women at different young women at different times. And that's one of the things that I tell them, is give it all you have. Don't think like you're gonna get through life because you're beautiful, you're pretty, you have a nice figure. Tell them all of that is gonna fade. It's all gonna fade, you know, and you have to have something to fall back on. And it has to be that you were a good person and that you did what was right by everyone around you, even the people that you may not get along with and people that may not like you or you may not like, but you can still always show them grace. You don't have to be mean to anyone. So I think that's about it. Nowadays for the young people, keep your heads on, look around you, see what's going on around you, because there's a lot going on out there that
Right.
you need to be
Right.
you need to be careful of, and
Yeah.
I say to the young mothers, keep an eye on their children. Look and see who they're talking to online, those kind of things. Interrupt them. Go and look in their phone. You have that right. You're paying for it, and let your children know. Be honest with them. Be honest. Let them know what's going on out there in the world. We can't protect them if they don't know what we're trying to protect them from,
Right.
And don't just say, no, you can't have the phone. Tell them why. Tell them why you can't have that phone.
Right.
I mean, I hear things about children who are killing their parents because they took away their phones and beating them up and running away from home, all kinds of crazy things like that. I mean, that would have never happened in nowadays. And that's a whole nother story, because we wouldn't have a head left to be trying to do any of that stuff. We would have already gotten our head knocked off. We wouldn't even dream of doing those things,
Here's
you
what
know?
I say. I said, when I asked you to give your thoughts or your takeaways about um, to young people, when I said, parting words, what are your takeaways to offer to young people? I didn't think that you would come up with, I found 9, 10 plus things that you said. And it's not just relevant or applicable to young people. It's all of us. Those things that you just shared with us, keeping a level head, having some me time, thinking about self. When I heard that part, I thought, yes, it's important for young people to know that. But just as human beings, we all need to step back a little bit and have some me time, focus on how we could be better for people we interact with every day, right? For ourselves, for us, and for others. And
Maybe I blended the two. Maybe I blended for the young and for us as well.
Yeah.
But it does apply. It does apply to all of us, depending, of course, on your age group.
Yes.
Then, of course, for the young ones, I tell them, learn your lesson. Make sure that you learn, because that's the world that we're living in nowadays. Yeah. Find something. I mean, look around. Ask your counselors at school. What should I be looking at? What kind of career should I be looking for?
Yeah.
Because the world is changing.
It really is
changing, and it might change more than we think in November, but
you have to have a good foundation in the world that we're in.
We have to be ready for anything that comes our way.
The village is
whatever's thrown.
Village still stands, and you have to know how to tap your people's support to really be able to endure. And so that's why I tapped you today, because I know that this is Women's Month, and it's always good to have an enriching voice, a voice of value and of that can sustain us. That's what you do. And I'm really happy that you agreed to come and have this conversation, Mel. I know there's so many takeaways that you've offered just by a few minutes of talking, and I know that the socialite in you will continue to light up wherever circle you end up in or you touch.
Thank you. And thanks for having me.
Happy to have you.
And I would like to say one more thing in closing, and this is for young and for old. I always close out when I speak to young women, especially, and I tell them, know your worth. Know your worth. You're worth something. Know it. Embrace it and love who you are.
Know your worth. Yep. You're worth something. You're worth something.
Yes.
You're worth something. Know what you're worth, and don't be shy about it.
Exactly.
Don't be shy about it. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. Thank you. Thanks for having me. All right. Continued success with your podcast. And, you can call on me anytime. And I look forward to chatting with you outside.
On camera.
Okay. All right, love. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll talk some more. Bye.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.